Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Rote Reactions. I'm here with my, again, fabulous co-host.
Hi, it's Albert Nathlid.
So we are going to do some, because Knives Out, we just recorded it. It's going to be out soon,
Ooh,
shortly after this one. But we decided we're going to do some murder mystery kind of things and thrillers that have a queer slant to them. This is one of the earliest that I came across when I was first looking into queer media. It's by my favorite director of all time. I am a huge Alfred Hitchcock aficionado fan,
Hitchcock.
so I know a lot about Hitchcock. I know about his personal life. I know what his creative process was. I've read every book that I could get my hands on about him. So he's always been a fascinating character to me. Um, there are a few stories, behind the scenes stories about this movie in particular. It's based on a British play called At Rope's End that played in the West End in London. And Hitchcock kind of liked the story's premise. So he had Arthur Lawrence do a screenplay adaptation of it.
Hmm.
Now, what's interesting about it is Arthur Lawrence was a queer screenwriter. And in fact, when we
Oh,
did the
oh,
celluloid closet
yeah, yeah.
reaction, there was a segment where they talked about this movie, Rope, which is what we're doing today.
Uh-huh.
They talked about Arthur Lawrence, and he gave some of his critique about it, which I'll insert here. Pause for
Ooh.
that. And the whole premise that was built on was that these were two gay men who, when they were in college, were part of a clique that um, kind of espoused superiority complex within
Hmm.
the mainstream culture. And the teacher, the professor that they all tended to glom onto, himself was a homosexual character, a gay character.
Hmm.
In the casting of this movie, Hitch, who was never afraid of queerdom, he had several gay
Oh,
people in his life,
cool.
so he was never afraid of it, but
Right.
he knew he had to play the Hollywood game. So Hitch was always one of the reasons why I adored him as a director is because he did what's called cinema verite, which is he let
Hmm.
the camera tell the story. The actors were just incidental. They came in and did what they were supposed to do. He was not an actor's director. He
Hmm.
had a vision, and his whole direction to actors was, you will be here when you say that line. You will be there and you will look this way when you say that line.
Yeah.
And it was up to the actors to come up with the reasons why. He didn't
Oh,
give them motivation. He didn't do any of that stuff. He
right,
expected
right.
actors to know their craft. And so for a lot of actors, he was considered not temperamental, but not so easy to work with because
Hmm.
he expected them to know their craft. He knew they had to know their lines, and he knew that they had to make their marks wherever
Yep.
he told them to be. Because back in the day, those cameras were huge. I mean, monstrously huge. So
Right.
if they took all the time to set up a shot, you had to hit your mark. It was just very, very
Hmm.
important. And that goes for any movie that was being made back then.
Wow.
But he wanted to he decided that he had, and this is like the early to mid 40s, he decided he wanted to start challenging himself as a director. Now, he was under contract at the time with David Selznick, who is the producer who made Gone with the Wind, and I
Yeah.
think he also did The Women. And so he had his hands on a lot of major films during that period. And
Hmm.
David O. Selznick was a control freak to the nth degree. So what Hitch did is he crafted his scenes and the blocking and everything so that it could only be cut one way to make it work his
Oh,
way. So no matter what Selznick wrote memos about and wanted to make changes and all blah blah blah, Hitch filmed what he wanted to film, even under that kind of oppressive creation atmosphere.
wow. Yeah,
He
yeah, yeah.
was clever enough to plan out and strategize all of his shots so that the only way the movie could be made was with the way that he had produced it. So it was very clever. So I admired that about him. And the same thing goes for the character's plot. In this one, they are a gay couple played by gay men at the
Wow.
time. So Farley Granger, who as a young gay boy, I was so enamored with. Oh God, I just loved him.
Oh,
And John Dahl, who they were both openly, well, it was kind of an open secret within Hollywood. You know, they were queer actors, and back in that day, you couldn't really be vocal about it or write about it.
Yeah, yeah.
But they were known within the system to be gay. And Hitch informed them, you know, what the characters were, what they were about, you know, that they
Yeah.
were a couple, blah blah blah. So the men play it. If you're queer, you can definitely see the romance, the relationship, the way
Yeah.
that they talk to each other. And it's funny because in the play, there was a lot of affectation. Oh, my
Uh-huh.
dear boy. You know, there was all this stuff. And they cut all of that because Selznick didn't want anything to allude to the queerness. And
Oh
he
my
thought
God.
by getting rid of all that stuff, he would remove the queer
Yeah.
factor. Well, Hitch was really clever in how he had Arthur Lawrence write the screenplay and the direction so that
Uh-huh.
no matter what Selznick said he wanted, he was able to keep the queer factor through it. So
Wow.
what's really amazing about this movie, and it is a murder that takes place, and it takes place in the very opening sequences of the film. So you jump right into the action at the very
Yep.
beginning. Is that he wanted to challenge himself in that he wanted to film this as if it were a live play. So the actors
Oh,
had to know their lines and their blocking to a T.
yeah.
And it takes place, the only scene you see is in the boys' apartment, the couple's apartment.
Right.
And they had all furniture on silent rollers. So literally, as the camera came in to go into a room,
Uh-huh.
everything got rolled out of place
Oh my
quietly,
God.
and they would film what they needed to. And as they backed out, people would roll things
You're
into place.
kidding. That's so
No,
cool.
so it's a lot of that.
Whoa.
And because film canisters only had, I think it was about 6 or 7 minutes, they had to figure out how they were going to cut from one to the other. So
Yeah.
there are shots where you'll see some of the camera move across the back of someone and then pick up from that position. Those are where the cuts are.
Yeah.
So, and if anybody messed up in their blocking or their line, they had to do the whole scene all over again
Jesus.
because there was supposed to be no cuts. It was supposed to be a
Oh
straight
my God.
performance. He also has, as you watch the film, in the background, because it's an apartment high rise, so they're up above the city. He
Sure.
had them come up with a technological way, and this was pretty advanced for the time. You're talking
Uh-huh.
1940s, that the sky ages over the day, so it
Yeah.
goes from midday towards
Uh-huh.
or mid-afternoon towards dusk and then evening by the time you get to the end. So you
Right.
see the sky kind of change and the lights of the city coming on as this whole
Wow.
movie plays out. So there's a lot of things that were done in this production that were very fascinating. The other story I will tell you is that Arthur Lawrence, the screenwriter for this,
Right.
actually became romantically involved with Farley Granger while they were filming this. So
Oh.
they had a whole nother level on top of
Oh
what
my
was
God.
going on. So yeah, there's a lot of queerness in this movie.
Wow.
It is not an easy watch in that the boys are definitely have a compromised position that they're compromised ethos that they're moving from that was put into them by their professor, and you find out that it all comes back to bite them in the end. So
Mm.
this is the film Rope. I am going to show everyone and you the opening trailer because the man who is murdered in the movie,
Yeah.
he's only seen in this trailer with a speaking part. So they
Oh.
play it in the theaters as a trailer, but he doesn't have any lines. He's just a body in the whole movie.
Okay.
So I'm going to play you this sequence first, and then
Right.
we will go to the movie. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So here is the trailer for Rope.
I just think we ought to wait till after you graduate.
I don't.
It's only a month.
Janet, a month.
Please.
It's all right. I personally consider us engaged as of now. Congratulations.
Oh.
David, no.
Look, you can say yes in a taxi. I have a 2:30 appointment.
I'm
and you're...
staying right here.
Oh, afraid you'll say yes?
I'll see you tonight at Brandon's party.
Okay. You can say yes, sir, just as well as in a taxi. Goodbye, darling.
5.
Oh. Oh no, he's gonna get murdered.
Last time she ever saw him alive.
Oh my
And that's the
God.
last time you'll you'll ever see him alive.
Oh, Jesus.
What happened to David Kentley changed my life completely, and the lives of 7 others. Janet Walker, Henry Kentley, the boy's father, his
Right.
aunt, Mrs. Atwater, his best friend, Kenneth Lawrence, a housekeeper named Mrs. Wilson, and the 2 who were responsible for everything, Brandon Shaw and Philip Morgan.
That's Farley Granger.
All right. Wait, so they're telling you right away they're the murderers.
Yes.
Mouse, cat and mouse. Which is the cat and which is the mouse?
Enough of that.
Ooh.
Well, the music is definitely very Hitchcock. It's really, really tense.
He's got it. He knows.
He knows. All right.
He knows.
Easy. I'll take care of
No, you won't.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Don't kill you is kill him.
Hey, that's a lot of spoilers for the trailer. That's kind of like the climax.
It is, but you don't know what happened.
Oh,
All right.
okay,
so
that was really intense.
that's
was a lot of
that's the
stuff.
trailer. Now we will get to Road to London.
All right.
All right. So here we go with Rope.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I didn't know all of that about like Alfred Hitchcock's like maybe relationship with queer people in the industry. That is fantastic.
Yep.
And I'm trying to think. I think I only ever watched one movie from him. It was The Birds, and I was terrified of birds because I was a kid.
Okay,
Yeah.
and Hitchcock appears in every movie, but he started to realize if he didn't appear in the first beginning sequences, people are going to spend the whole movie trying to find him.
Right.
So in this movie, he's the man walking that you will see walking along the sidewalk in a few seconds.
Ooh, cool.
So he
cool,
got
cool.
himself out of the way because he
All right.
wanted you to concentrate on the movie. Also interesting enough, Jimmy Stewart, who was cast as the professor character,
Mhm.
really felt he was miscast.
Oh,
He thought he didn't really play the gay angle very well. And he's pretty much dead on. He does a really good job, but it's not,
Mhm.
it doesn't have, that's the only angle for me that was missing.
okay.
And this was in the era where all the credits rolled before the movie.
Yeah. I kind of like it because it gives you context.
Right.
You're like, oh, I know that guy, or oh,
Yeah.
look. Because later, like today, you have to wait to the credits and then you go, oh, I was sure that the music was by this person or whatever. So, yeah. Oh, 1948. Oh. Is that him?
That's him in the lower part walking with the woman. That's Alfred Hitchcock.
Oh, really? Okay. You can barely tell.
Yeah. But that was him.
All right. Oh, that was all a single shot from. Oh.
Oh yeah.
we're
Everything's
going
single
to-
shots. That movie.
Oh my God. This must have been so stressful for the actors. It's like you either do it perfectly or. Okay.
That's the only cut, direct cut.
Open it.
And it almost seems like an orgasm because of the way that they're
Don't.
breathing after.
Yeah, I noticed the way they stood next to each other was like, whoa.
Got to see if this.
I know. But not just yet. Let's stay this way for a minute.
So cool. You get a sense of their personalities right away. Like
Mhm.
right away.
Mm-hmm. Postcoital cigarette.
Oh.
Have too much time. It's the darkness that's got you down. Nobody ever feels really safe in the dark. Nobody who's ever a child, that is. I'll open these, all right? There, that's much better.
There's even smoke and stuff in the background. That's so cool.
Pity we couldn't have done it with the curtains open and the bright sunlight.
Huh. That's an interesting thing to say.
You can't have everything, can we? We
Wow.
do it in the daytime. All right now, Philip?
Yes?
Good. You better put those away. Put them in my checkbook drawer behind that metal box. It's a museum piece now. We really should preserve it for posterity, except it's such good crystal, and I'd hate to break up the set. This. David Kentley had his last drink.
That is so cool. And Philip's freaking out.
It should have been ginger ale or even beer. I've always thought it was out of character for David to drink anything as corrupt as whiskey.
Out of character for him to be murdered, too.
Yes, wasn't it? Good Americans usually die young on the battlefield, don't they? Well,
Wait, what?
Davids of this world merely occupy space, which is why he was the perfect victim for the perfect murder. Of course, he was a Harvard undergraduate. That might make it justifiable homicide.
He's dead and we've killed him. But he's still here.
In less than 8 hours, he'll be resting gently but firmly at the bottom of a lake.
Meanwhile, he's here.
Yeah, he doesn't let it go.
It's not locked.
All the better. It's much more dangerous. Anyway, the lock's too old. It won't work.
I wish it would. I wish we had him out of here. I wish it was somebody else.
It's a trifle late for that, don't you think? Whom would you have preferred? Kenneth?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose anyone was as good or as bad as any other. I'm only kidding, Brandon. I obviously can't take it as well as you, so I'm turning on you a little.
That's rather foolish, isn't it?
Yes. Very. May I have a drink now?
By all means. This is an occasion. It calls for champagne.
Champagne?
I put some in the icebox.
When did you put it there, Brandon?
Oh, just before David arrived. I've always wished for more artistic talent. Well, murder can be an art, too. The power...
Whoa, that's cold.
Just as satisfying as the power to create. But do you realize we've actually done it exactly as we planned? And not a single infinitesimal thing has gone wrong. It was perfect.
Yes.
An immaculate murder. We've killed for the sake of danger and for the sake of killing.
Oh, so there was no other motive.
Truly and wonderfully alive.
That is really messed up.
Champagne isn't equal to us or the occasion.
I'll take it, though.
You're not really frightened anymore, are you, Philip? You can't have fear, you know. Neither of us can. That's the difference between us and the ordinary man, Philip. They talk about committing the perfect crime, but nobody does it. Nobody
I
commits.
love the way Philip's looking at him. Wow.
You're not frightened anymore, are you, Philip?
No?
Not even of me?
No.
That's good.
I love the play of their facial expressions there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Brandon, how
Oh.
during it?
Hmm.
Don't know, really. I don't remember feeling very much of anything. Until his body went limp. And I knew it was over.
Whoa.
And then?
Then I felt tremendously exhilarated.
all the sexual innuendos.
How did you feel?
Oh my God, the nuance to his voice.
Brandon, you don't think the party's a mistake, do you?
No, the
Oh, there's going to be a party?
finishing touch to our work. It's more.
That is so
signature of
Oh,
our
wait, it gets worse.
Not having it
weird.
would be like,
Painting the picture and not hanging it?
I don't think that's a very good choice of words.
It may turn out to be a little too choice thanks to the party.
Oh, rot.
Hmm.
This party will be the most exciting ever given. Philip,
What?
take the other one.
What for?
Never
Yeah, why?
come with me.
What's this all
More
about?
inspiration?
You'll see. It's brilliant.
You see what I mean about them rolling away the furniture
Yeah,
and moving?
yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff?
It's really smooth.
What the devil are you doing?
Making art.
No. No, 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 no. They're going to have the party with the dead guy there?
What do you mean? I just thought it'd be nice to have supper in here.
That is insane.
On this.
That is insane.
Isn't it
What?
a good idea?
No, it's not. There's a dead guy there.
At least this way no one will try to open it.
What?
Don't think you appreciate me, Philip.
I'm beginning to, Brandon. We've got to have some excuse.
Don't want to leave our guest of honor alone during supper.
What?
We've got to have an excuse for the others.
All right, all right. Let me think. Really, you get much too upset much too easily, Philip. We have a very simple excuse right here. What are you
Zero.
worrying about, Philip?
What?
After all, Mr. Kentley's coming mainly to look at these books. Now, what could be better than to have them laid out neatly on the dining room table where the poor old man can easily get at them? Hello? Oh, of course. You start on the books.
Who is it?
Mrs. Wilson.
All right, Philip's a little jumpy.
Mm.
I wonder if he's going to give it away during the party. I wouldn't be able to. How are you even going to have a party with that guy in the?
And the
Oh
rope
my-
hanging outside of the chest.
So they're just going to leave that there.
Brandon. Brandon!
What the devil? Don't you have any more sense than to... What is it? Well, go on, yank it out.
I can't.
If Mrs. Wilson were here, she'd yank it out for you. A stupid display like that in front of somebody else will be just as good as a confession. Now, take these and get a hold of yourself. If you'd let me keep the light on before as I'd wanted, I would have seen
All
it.
right. You're perfect.
We have to be, Philip. We agreed
Wow.
there was only one crime either of us could commit. The crime of making a mistake. Being weak is a mistake.
Because it's being human.
Because it's being ordinary. I won't let either of us stoop...
This is fascinating. So Brandon really looks at it as a work of art, and he still has a rope.
$2.40 for taxis, including the tip. If it weren't for the traffic, I'd have been here a half hour ago.
Oh, it's just as well. We didn't expect you back until now.
Well, I have that special patty we like. But the prices, huh? I didn't see any reason for throwing away our good money. So I went downtown to that little delicatessen where Mr. Cadell goes. Yeah, but I tell you, the next time we give a party, I'm only going to...
Good evening, Mrs. Wilson.
What, may I ask, is happening to my table?
We're just moving the things in here.
I personally thought my table was quite lovely.
Oh, it was quite lovely. But you see, Mr. Ketley's coming to look at these old books I had in the chest. And I'm sure you wouldn't want the poor old man to have to get down on his knees to see them.
Oh, the way
Well,
he
it looks downright peculiar.
lets that hang. Oh my God.
Very. Particularly those candlesticks. They don't belong there at all.
Well, on the contrary,
Right.
I think they suggest a ceremonial altar. You can heap with the foods for our sacrificial feast.
He
Oh, that is.
certainly isn't enough room for me to set things up.
He really
that-
enjoys it.
The way he keeps
Oh, you-
goading.
Yeah.
Definitely. What's to be done with the books?
Oh, we'll lay them out on the dining room table.
A crazy idea, if you ask me. Well, I have too much to do to
Sees
discuss
him
this
holding
thoroughly.
the rope.
However, I still think...
Yep. Yeah, he.
What's the matter? I was sure she'd notice.
Notice what?
The rope, of course. Brandon, we've got to hide it.
Why?
Why?
Yes, why? It's only a piece of rope, Philip, an ordinary household article. Why hide it? Belongs in the kitchen drawer.
Right. Oh my God. It's like Brandon's enjoying seeing how far he can push Philip.
Hmm. I love this sequence. I love the way this is shot. Watch.
Oh my God, that is so cool.
There's a
Can you
champagne in the
imagine
icebox.
how
Oh, we're
much
not giving them
practice
champagne.
that took to swing the door?
That's
right?
We only serve champagne at Mr. Cadell's on very high occasions. Matter of fact, he and I once had a glass together on my birthday.
Tonight, Mrs. Wilson, you'll have an opportunity to renew that romance. May I? Mr. Cadell's coming.
Oh my. Oh, Mr. Cadell's terribly nice.
Rupert's coming?
Mr. Cadell
I thought I
is
told you.
the
Oh,
professor
I
that
didn't know.
put all these
Oh.
ideas into their head.
Ah,
Of course, some people say he's a little peculiar, but I always think...
I thought you liked Rupert.
I do.
Well, then.
Brandon, of all the people on this earth, Rupert Cadell is the one man most likely to suspect.
He's the one man who might appreciate this from our angle, the artistic one. That's what's exciting.
I'm glad it
Oh, so he
excites
wants to
you.
show
It
off.
frightens me. I know,
I
but
suggest you keep your voice down.
poor Philip. He's gonna break. He's just.
How are you,
He needs. Oh my God, it's like he has the compulsion. This is like reading The Telltale Heart from Poe. Kind of. It's like he's hearing the heartbeat.
Hello, Kenneth. Good to see you. You too. Been up to much lately? Oh, nothing to speak of. You? Oh, just trying to get ready for exams. I always have to start cramming before everybody else. Am I the first?
You are?
Why is it I'm always too early at parties?
Probably because you're always on time. Mrs. Wilson, champagne.
It isn't someone's birthday, is it?
Don't look so worried.
Kind of.
It's
Really?
The opposite. Oh my God, that's exactly what I was. Jesus Christ.
I'm driving up to Connecticut after the party.
Oh, where are you going? Just to Brandon's mother's place.
Notice how everything's moving across the
I'm
sky.
the,
Yeah.
To make sure he practices 6 hours a day, I finally wangled a debut for him.
Town hall at that. That's wonderful. I hope you knock him dead. Thank you.
Oh, well, we're really killing two birds with one stone. The party's also for Mr. Kentley.
David's father? Yes. Oh. Is David going to be here?
Of course.
Why?
Who else is coming?
Oh,
Of course.
you don't
Yeah, I know.
bothering you. The Kentleys, Janet Walker.
Janet.
Yes.
Oh.
I thought you'd be glad to see her. And cheer up. I have the oddest feeling anyway that your chances with the young lady are much better than you think.
What do you mean?
Oh my God.
Hello, Ducks. Angel. Be careful of my hair. It took hours. You smell dreamy. What is it?
That swill you gave me last Christmas.
I always knew I had good taste.
You do. You look lovely.
I won't by the time it's all paid for. Is that funny? I never know when I'm being funny. Whenever I try to be, I lay the bomb of all time. Philip, sweet.
Hello.
What's this rumor I hear about you in town hall? I bet you're going to play a foul trick on all of us and become horribly famous.
I believe
Mm. Oh, wow.
Hello, Ken.
Hello, Jan.
Well, that was fascinating, wasn't it? I seem to have run down.
What would you say to some champagne?
Hello, Champagne. You see what I mean about trying to be funny? Oh, isn't that painting new?
Yes, it is. Do you like it?
Well, what is it?
New Young American Primitive.
I have a new young American sister. She's only 3, and her stuff is really primitive. You dirty dog.
Mm.
Didn't I notice another new one in the foyer when I came in?
Well, I don't think so. Which?
Anyone else coming besides the Kendall? Yes. Another old friend of yours.
This.
Even older friend of yours.
I could really strangle you, Brandon.
What have I done now?
At times, your sense of humor is a little too malicious, chum.
Mm. Yeah, but he loves it.
Why did you invite Kenneth?
Oh, why not?
To set you up with him.
Perfectly well, why not? We called it quits ages ago, and I'm practically engaged to his best friend.
David?
Yes, David. Which makes everything just ginger peachy.
Oh, I'm terribly sorry, but it is a little difficult trying to keep up with your romances. After me came Kenneth, now it's David.
Also, they were a thing.
Kenneth to David anyway.
Obviously, I think he's nicer.
Well, he's certainly richer.
That's a new
Huh.
low, even for you, chum.
I hope he does come. How is he?
Who is he?
Rupert Cadell. He was our housemaster at prep school.
Housemaster for you, 3 little dears.
4 little dears. He tried valiantly to teach David, too.
Oh, they were all
It's a publisher now.
schoolmates.
Successful.
Oh.
Maybe he can give me a job.
Rupert only publishes books he likes, usually philosophy.
Oh, small print, big words, no sales.
Right.
Rupert's extremely
Mm.
radical. Do you know that he selects his books on the assumption that people not only can read, but actually can think? Curious fellow, but I like him.
You always did. Golly, those bull sessions you and Rupert used to have at school. Brandon would sit up till all hours at the master's feet.
Brandon at someone's feet. Who is this Rupert?
He used to tell you the weirdest things, didn't he?
Really? What sort of thing?
Well, I suppose Kenneth means Rupert's impatience with social conventions.
Or morality, maybe?
He thinks murder is a crime for most men.
Oh, so he's going to bring up the topic. Jesus.
You.
Okay.
Mr. Kentley, so glad you could come.
Thank you, Brandon. Mrs. Kentley isn't well, so I took the liberty of bringing my sister-in-law, Mrs. Atwater. She's been staying with us.
Oh, delighted to have you, Mrs. Atwater.
Delighted to come, dear boy. I've been in New York 2 weeks. Alice has been ill almost the whole time, and Henry is forever cataloging his library.
Oh, no, Anita. Occasionally I even read one of my books.
But I'm on a visit, Henry. This is just my second party. I suppose it's only fair that I
Let
say
me take your thing.
Thanks.
Just about ready.
This way, Mrs. Atwater.
Particularly this. This is all way over my head.
David!
Oh, no. This is, you've made a mistake. This is Kenneth Lawrence.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Look what happened.
All right, Anita. Kenneth is often
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my God. Wow.
We haven't had much.
He's really high-strung.
Resemblance lately, my boy. You haven't been
Whoa.
studying, have you?
I've been trying to, sir.
Oh dear, the resemblance is only physical.
I believe.
Yeah, no one's going to notice if you put it there.
Janet, my dear. I finished
bloody,
working out your
broken-
horoscope just before we came.
Oh, tell.
The stars are very kind.
Mrs. Atwater, may I present Mr. Philip Morgan?
How do you do?
Oh, you've hurt your hand.
Oh, it's nothing, just a little cut.
What happened?
Nothing. The glass was cracked and it broke, that's all. May I get you some champagne, Mrs. Atwater?
Oh, I should adore some. Daddy used to have a glass every morning at 11. But of course, Henry doesn't like.
Mr. Kelly, may I get you some?
Okay.
Well, I prefer a little scotch with a lot of water, if you don't mind. Is David here?
I expected him to come with you.
He called and said that he'd meet us here.
Mr. Kentley?
May I use the phone?
Of course, it's in the bedroom.
How cozy.
Aren't you ready
How
for another?
cozy.
I will be.
I love.
I am, thank you.
Oh, wow.
Charming young man. I wish David saw more of him.
Yes. I'll go and call.
Would you mind taking this into Janet? Sure. Why?
Right.
Particular reason. It's hers. I thought you'd like to take it into her. She's in the bedroom telephoning. Then you'd like
Uh-huh, so you can be alone there together.
That'd be too much of a shock.
When we
He's never going to stop with these, right?
astrologer,
Clever little quips. Oh, my
do
God.
my best. Let me see now. You were born on the 14th of July. You're Cancer the Crab. You're a moon child. You're very much influenced by the moon. May I see your hand?
Well, one of them's all cut up,
Be
but
out of your birth by any chance.
No.
Good fingers, strong, artistic.
where's the cut?
These hands will bring you great fame.
She's not wrong.
Right.
Well, I consider myself a very
Where's the cut?
It's right there on his thumb. Right.
Yeah?
on his thumb.
Okay.
of your collection, so to speak.
Oh, oh, God.
Play.
He's so sensitive.
Sends her love.
I think he was just
I
like kind of
became-
roped into
I
it.
became obsessed with this piano piece after this movie.
Your touch has improved, Philip.
Rupert,
Oh, he came.
I was beginning to think you weren't going to show.
You know me better than that.
Mrs. Atwater, may I present Mr. Rupert Cadell?
Delighted.
Thank you.
Mr. Kentley.
How do you do, Mr. Kentley?
Rupert Cadell, the housemaster at Somerville.
I used to be.
Then you must have taught my son, David.
Well, you flatter me. How do you do?
Hello, chum.
Oh, Miss Walker.
How'd you
Chum?
know?
Brandon's spoken of you.
Did he do me justice?
Do you deserve justice? Well,
Excuse me?
that bears a
Huh.
resemblance to champagne.
It is.
It's very good champagne, too. What's the occasion?
Well, I told you on the phone. It began as a little party for Mr. Kentley so he could look over those first editions. Then it turned out Philip and I were going up to the country
Yes,
tonight.
you told me that, too, Brandon.
Did I?
That is weird. Like Brandon's nervous around him.
Farewell for Philip.
Therefore, champagne.
Yes.
I see.
Well, it's true.
You always did stutter when you were excited.
Well, I guess I'm always excited when I give a party.
Really?
Mr. Cadell.
Oh, Miss Wilson. Wow.
Not
Wow.
so confident.
Yeah. It's like he really wants to show him up. It's like, I'm smarter than you, or I'm this. Oh, my God.
Thank you. Thank you. Trust you to find a new use for a chest. One was always turning up in the bedtime stories he told in prep school. The
Oh, really?
bow. That was always your favorite tale, wasn't it?
What was that one about?
I don't remember exactly how it started. It was about a lovely young girl.
She was a bride-to-be, and on her wedding day, she playfully hid herself in a chest.
Yes, that's right.
Unfortunately,
Uh-huh.
it had a spring lock. 50
Uh-oh.
years later, they found her skeleton.
I don't think I'll get that playful.
Would you all?
Huh.
Talking of skeletons, have you seen that new thing at the Strand?
Yes, I adored it.
Did you? Good. I didn't like the new girl much. Definitely Scorpio.
No, I didn't like her either, but her clothes were
Simply divine.
Absolute heaven.
I must see it.
Of course, the man I have a passion for is James Mason.
Is he good?
Absolutely terrific.
So attractively sinister. Tall as the bull, you know. Very obstinate.
Really?
But I have a confession to make. Do you know, I think I like Mason as much as Errol Flynn.
I'll take Cary Grant myself.
Oh, so will I. Capricorn, the goatee leaps divine. So much.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh, he was
Right.
in that new thing with Bergman. What is it called now? The something of the something. No, that was the other one. This was just
The other one.
something. You know, it was sort of, you know.
It's right on the tip of my tongue.
Mine too.
Right.
Plain something, I'm sure. I adored it. And Bergman.
She's the Virgo type. Like all these, you know.
Oh, I think she's lovely.
I once went to the movies. I saw Mary Pickford.
I was mad about her. Didn't you love her?
Oh, the Virgo type, rather, like all of these.
Well, what's she
The something. Or,
Oh my God, he really likes making fun of people. Huh?
I don't believe you ever went.
So he is really, really smart. How much food can fit on the chest? Jesus.
Don't be polite. Philip, would you mind helping Mrs. Atwater?
I'd be glad to. You sit down, Mrs. Atwater. I'll bring it to you.
Thank you so much, dear boy.
What about you?
I don't eat it.
How queer. I never heard of anyone who didn't eat chicken. Did you, Brandon? Oh, you probably did. Why don't you eat it, Philip?
I just don't.
Well, now, there must be a reason. Freud says there's a reason for everything.
Oh, Freud. No, thank you.
Well, as I remember, Philip, you have a very funny reason. Doesn't he, Brandon?
Yes.
Now, I knew there had to be one. Now, what is it?
What?
It's nothing too much. Well, I think it's quite fascinating.
Come on, Brandon, please.
Well, it happened about 3 years ago in Connecticut. Mother has a place there, you know. We were going to have chickens, so we walked over to the farm. It was a lovely Sunday morning in late spring. Across the valley, the church bells were ringing, and in the yard, Philip was doing likewise to the necks of 2 or 3 chickens.
Oh, dear.
It was
What?
the task he usually performed very competently. But on this particular morning, his touch was perhaps a trifle too delicate. Because one of the subjects for our dinner table suddenly rebelled. Like Lazarus, he rose...
That's a lie.
Philip.
There's no word of truth in the whole story. I never strangled a chicken in my life.
Now, look here, Philip.
I
Just because
never strangled a chicken, and you know it.
Hmm.
Forgive me. But it just seemed very funny. You two.
He's beginning to, well, yeah, he already noticed, huh?
Sorry, we were ridiculous and very rude. I apologize for both of us and the story.
Wow.
Well, now, you don't really approve of murder.
Now you get the philosophy.
You may,
Yep.
and I do. Think of the problems it would solve. Unemployment, poverty, standing in line for theater tickets.
I must say I've had a
That's
perfectly dreadful...
such a psychopathic way of thinking about it. Oh my God.
Called, you know.
The something.
Something with what's her name? My dear Miss Atwater, careful application of the trigger finger and a pair of seats in the first row is yours for the shooting. And have you had any difficulty in getting into our Velvet Rope restaurant?
Frightful.
A very simple matter. A flick of the knife, madame. And if you
What?
kindly step this way, oh no, a step over the head waiter's body. Thank you. And here's your table.
And everyone's just laughing? Like, that's crazy.
Cheerfully flick a knife at.
Oh no, sorry. Knives may not be used on hotel employees. They are in the death by slow torture category.
Oh my God, this is
Bird
creepy.
lovers, small children, and tap dancers.
Oh, excuse me?
Another matter.
Small children?
Department, call on our Miss Sashwaite of the Blunt Instrument Department.
What a divine idea.
What do you mean divine? Is everyone
They
crazy?
just think it's humorous. They think he's
Then we'd all be murdering each other.
Oh no, oh no. After all, murder is, or should be, an art. Not one of
Should
the
be.
7 lively, perhaps, but an art nevertheless. And as such, the privilege of committing it should be reserved for those few who are really superior individuals.
And the victims, inferior beings whose lives are unimportant anyway.
Obviously. Now, mind you, I don't hold with the extremists
Not
who feel that there should be
too
open season
far
for murder
from
all year
Nazism.
round. No.
Oh God, yeah.
I prefer to have cut a throat week or Strangulation Day.
Probably.
Please talk about the Purge thing, like the movie.
I really don't appreciate this morbid humor.
Well,
Thank you. I was beginning to say.
You're not serious about these theories.
Of course he is.
Oh, you're both pulling my leg.
No, why do you think that?
Well, Brandon, the notion that murder is an art which a few superior beings should be allowed to practice.
in season.
Now I know you're not serious.
But I am. I'm a very serious fellow.
Then may I ask, who is to decide that a human being is inferior and is therefore a suitable victim for murder?
The few who are privileged to commit murder.
And just who might...
That makes no sense.
Oh, myself. Philip. Possibly Rupert.
I'm sorry, Kenneth, you're out.
Gentlemen, I'm serious.
So are we, Mr. Kentley. The few are those men of such intellectual and cultural superiority that they're above the traditional moral concepts. Good and evil, right and wrong were invented for the ordinary average man, the inferior man, because he needs them.
Then obviously you agree with
Oh,
me.
that is scary.
Yes, I do.
So did Hitler.
Hitler was a paranoid savage. His supermen, all fascist supermen, were brainless murderers. I'd hang any who were left. But then you see, I'd hang them first for being stupid. I'd hang all incompetents and fools anyway. There are far too many in the world.
Then perhaps you should hang me, Brandon, for I confess I'm so stupid I don't know whether you're all serious or not. But in any case, I'd rather not hear any more of your, forgive me, contempt for humanity.
Yep.
Standards of a world that I believe is civilized.
Civilized?
Yes.
Perhaps what is called civilization is hypocrisy.
Perhaps.
Well, I'm sure Rupert, fortunately,
Oh, now, gentlemen,
has
really,
the intelligence and imagination
Please,
to...
Brandon, I think we've had just about enough.
Philip, where did you put those books you set out for Mr. Kentley? I'd very much like to see them myself, if I may.
Of course, they're in the dining room. Mr. Kentley, wouldn't you like to see the books now?
I apologize, sir. Again, I'm afraid I let myself get carried away.
Oh, that's quite all right, my boy.
I think it's a good collection. First editions, I mean.
Yes, I'd like to see them. May I use the telephone first? I'd like to talk to my wife. She may have some word of David.
Of course, it's this way.
Oh, dear, I'm
Hmm.
afraid.
Brandon,
Yes?
Where did you
you were really pushing your point rather hard. You aren't planning
Yeah, a little.
few inferiors by any chance.
I'm a creature of whim. Who knows?
I see.
You know, when I was a girl, I used to read quite a bit.
Oh, we all do.
Why is he so insistent on having... Oh,
I'm not very smart.
Why?
I never realized you were... Brandon and his atmospheric music. You are in love with David, aren't you?
Yes.
I don't get it.
Get what?
Brandon made a crack when I got here. Well, he sort of implied I'd have a better chance with you again because David would be out of the running.
Wait. You mean before I got here, Brandon knew we had
He
broken
even
up?
knew about you and David.
What?
they're broken.
Kenneth, he pretended to be completely ignorant when I told him. He
What's
said...
going on here anyway?
I don't know, but I'm going to find out once and for all. Brandon.
Yes,
May I see you for a moment?
certainly.
Why can't he keep his hands off people?
Well,
Did you find the telephone all right?
Just exactly what are you up to, chum?
I'm up to getting you a coffee if you like.
Let's dispense with the charm. I'd like to know why you had the gall to tell Kenneth he wouldn't have to worry very much longer about David and me.
I don't think that's precisely what I said,
It's
Kenneth.
what you implied, and I want to know why.
Some women are quite charming when they're angry, Janet. Unfortunately, you're...
Hmm.
Cut that out, Brandon.
Well, chivalry rears its ugly head.
I don't believe David's coming.
Wait and see.
I don't have to. He's never this late. He's never late at all. And if something had come up, he'd have phoned. I think you deliberately arranged it so that he wouldn't come.
How clever of me.
Hmm.
I might have known you couldn't just give a party for Mr. Kentley. No, you'd have to add something that appealed to your warped sense of humor. Well, I hope you've enjoyed yourself, Brandon. I haven't.
2 desserts, Mr. Cadell?
One for you and one for me, my love.
Oh, Mr. C.
The others don't seem to be in the mood for ice cream.
No, though they could all do with a little cooling off. Why, it's a peculiar party. Not that that surprises me.
Why not?
I could have predicted it this morning. Both of them must have got up out of the wrong side of the bed. They've been in a state all day.
Oh, Mr. Brandon says he's always in a state when he gives a...
Usually, he lets me prepare everything in my own way, but look at this. chickens hardly been touched.
Well, what was so different today?
What wasn't? Mr. Brandon was in the maddest rush for me to clean up and get the table set. And, oh, it looked so lovely. But then when I was whisking out to do the shopping, he suddenly told me to take the whole afternoon for it. The whole afternoon. After that mad rush.
Gears are turning.
Did he say why?
No, just a whim, I suppose. But when I came back, he and Mr. Phillip were going at it hammer and tongs.
Oh.
I had everything laid out in the dining room, and it was just beautiful. Of course, on this thing, here's the half.
Wow.
Very well.
Oh no. Yep. Panic?
The unraveling.
Yeah.
Is she still
Don't go. You're just gonna make it
how
worse.
good it is to serve from this? But it's really much more convenient, you know. Because this way, people don't have to go all the way into the dining room to get their food and come all the way back here to eat it.
Seems to me they've gone all the way in there now for their dessert and coffee.
Mrs. Wilson, please serve the guests. Don't lecture them.
Oh. Okay.
We did get up on the wrong side of the bed, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. Whoa. I wonder how long it's gonna take for Philip to just freak out or do something crazy.
I'm in quite an embarrassing position.
How do you mean?
Those are very nice changes in the lights.
Having a good time.
You and Mrs. Atwater.
You know, Philip, I get quite intrigued when people don't answer questions.
Did you ask me a question?
Yes, Philip, I asked you a question.
Well, what was it?
I asked you what is going on here.
A party.
Yes, but a rather peculiar party.
Yeah, very
What's it all
weird.
about, Philip?
What's what all about? Now stop playing crime and punishment, Rupert. You want to know something? Come out with it. Otherwise...
Oh, no, temper.
Whoa.
Now, don't stop.
I'd like a drink.
Oh, wait, I'll get it for you. Now, keep playing. What would you like, Scotch?
No, brandy.
You're very fond of that little tune, aren't you? You know, Philip, I wish I could come straight out with what I want to know. Unfortunately, I don't know anything.
I'll ask you. What do you suspect?
Where's David, Philip?
I don't know. Why?
Brandon knows,
Does he?
doesn't he?
Not that I know.
Oh, come now.
I don't. Why don't you ask Brandon?
I have. But he's too busy maneuvering the other 2 points of the triangle. What for, Philip? Just what is Brandon trying to do with Janet and Kenneth? What's the matter? What are you laughing?
Nothing.
What am I so far off the track?
There's nothing going on at all, Rupert.
Mhm.
You're
That metronome is really creepy. Yeah.
more than usually allergic to the truth tonight, Philip. That's the second time you haven't told it.
Thanks. When was the first?
When you said you'd never strangle a chicken.
You're confused. Brandon dreamt that up for the sake of a very unfunny joke.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't, Philip. And if you'll think back very carefully, you'll realize that I know he didn't.
Hmm.
About a year ago, I was up at the farm, you remember?
This is so cool.
You display your handiwork. You're quite a good chicken strangler, as I recall.
Well, I just meant that Brandon's story wasn't true. I didn't mean I hadn't killed any chickens.
That's what you said.
Well, I didn't think it was a suitable topic of conversation while we were eating.
You could have said that.
All right, I didn't.
We're not eating now, Philip. What'd you lie to me for?
Because I don't like to talk about...
About what? Strangling?
About what?
I want you to have them very...
Whoa.
It's extremely generous of you, Brandon. I don't know.
Oh my God, really? Really? The book's bound with the...
Really very...
And he
I
noticed.
told you the unraveling.
This is... That scene was fascinating. The music mirroring his mental state, the way it kind of crumbled.
I don't care if he has them. I just... What? I just think it's a clumsy way of tying them up, that's all.
David never had any...
Oh, he's pointing it out.
No, but I cannot understand this. Whenever
Yep.
he's telephoned so much so then.
Oh, yes, he's always been after me to be more punctual.
And well, he might.
Oh, you wouldn't know me these days.
Oh my God. And now Rupert kind of knows.
Very unfeminine, my dear.
No talk of strangling, weird rope.
Oh, Henry, you sound just like Daddy. I remember once when David was very small.
Take it easy, Philip.
Rupert's onto something.
He isn't. Now let up.
Got to have a drink, Brandon.
Enough. You're not.
Take your hand off my arm. Don't you ever again tell me what to do and what not to do. I don't like it, Brandon, and I'm not going to take
your
it.
voice down. I hope I didn't upset Philip.
You never let him console
No, he's more likely mixing his drinks.
Yeah, this is like the third thing he's drunk.
Do I?
Mr. Kentley, do you suppose David could possibly be home?
I don't know, Janet. I hope so.
I hate to throw a damper, but if David was home, I should think he'd be calling instead of Mr.
I love
Kentley. Wouldn't you say so,
how
Brandon?
long they
I
linger
wouldn't
from
know.
this angle
David,
as
I
she's
was very polite as well as very
clearing the
punctual.
table,
He has
and there's all those books to put
Of
away.
course. If
Oh my
he's not
God.
home, where could he be?
This is what
Don't ask
Hitchcock
me,
does
I don't know.
best.
He might be in a number of places, such as the club or the Bradleys are giving a party.
Is she going
Builds
to
the-
try to?
Maybe he went
Yeah.
down to Janet's.
He builds the
Perhaps
tension
he decided
Yeah,
by
to
giving the audience
My place after I
heads
left.
up before the
He
characters.
wasn't there?
No, I left a message just in case, but
We might have a better chance. of
This
finding
is so well done.
now if we knew where he was this afternoon.
You're like, oh no, it's gonna
At
happen.
least I
It's
Yeah.
gonna
know where he
happen.
was this afternoon.
But don't you think it would help?
You're not
if we
even
found
listening to the
out where he was?
conversation. It's like, yeah, they're talking about David, but
I know he went to the club.
your mind is here.
Dennis, and I know that he got there
Why?
because someone phoned from there with a message that David would meet us here.
Well, do you know who gave the message?
No.
Oh my God, this is so well done. Wow.
Someone at the club who changed his plans. You weren't there this afternoon by any chance, were you, Kenneth?
No.
She's gonna open the thing.
I don't suppose.
Well, she needs to take the candlesticks out first, okay? Uh-huh,
We
one.
had our hands full getting ready for the party.
Oh, there was a lot to be done this afternoon.
Oh, it's a lot of smoke, though. Aren't you supposed to, like, pinch them with something wet?
Didn't
Yeah.
speak to David at all today. Then?
No. Why do you ask?
Well, I just thought that perhaps he might have called to say he'd be late or something.
He didn't. Well, neither Philip nor I have talked to David since the day we invited him to the party.
That's odd.
What do you mean?
I thought I
Oh my God.
phoned Philip yesterday morning.
This is so cool. I'm like this. I mean, oh my God. Jesus, imagine
Did
seeing
he
the
call about
theater
the party?
and everybody's like holding their breath.
About the time, that was all.
And now,
I'll help you with that, Miss.
Oh, now they.
Thank you, Mr. Cadell.
And what are they going to do?
All
Jesus.
right, Mrs. Wilson. You can put the books back when you come in to clean in the morning.
Well, I didn't have any idea of coming in the morning.
Well, I'm afraid you have to. Just let the books go for now.
Well, all right.
that's the clue.
Uh-huh.
Alice hasn't had a word from David. She's frantic.
I better talk to her.
She hung up. She began to cry so badly. Oh, Henry, I'm worried.
What did she say?
She's been calling every place he might be, not once, but several times. And now, Henry, she thinks he may have had an accident. She wants you to call the police.
the police.
Oh, no, Anita. I don't think that's necessary.
And Rupert's seeing everything.
Uh-huh.
I'm quite sure he's all right. Brandon, I think I better go home. My wife needs me. This isn't like David.
Oh, of course, I understand.
May I go with you, Mr. Kentley?
Thank you, Janet.
I'll get your
Thank
things.
you.
Oh, Mr. Kentley, your books.
Oh, yes.
I can't tell you how sorry I am. Would you call me as soon as you hear from David?
Be glad to.
Oh, that's messed up.
The dear boy will turn up somehow, Henry.
Of course
Janet.
I will.
Yes.
This is hardly the time, but I'm very glad we had that talk.
So am I. And David will be too.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Kenneth, why don't you come along with us?
oh, I don't.
Really?
Thanks.
This yours, Janet?
Yes, I'll just carry it. Oh, thanks.
I'll get my hat.
Oh, going with Janet?
Yes, we're all going together.
What did I predict?
You'll laugh at yourself later for being so loud.
Oh, good
He
night.
loves it. He loves feeling like the architect of everything.
Thank you.
You will.
And you can see how he has that same effect on Philip.
Say good
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
I'll get your hat,
Certainly.
Mr. Cadell.
Mrs. Atwater,
He's really controlling.
And the only
really-
reason
Uh-huh.
it's having,
Sorry we have to leave.
watch,
Bye.
this is
good
important.
night.
That's not yours.
I'm very sorry.
The initials.
You couldn't possibly spoil it, Mr. Kentley.
Well, I meant by leaving so early.
They left his hat
And now
there.
he knows. And now he knows.
Good night, Mr. Cadell.
What an oversight.
Yes. Yes, I must. Good night. Good night.
Can I help you with those books, Mr. Cantley? Thanks.
They forgot his hat.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
when
thinks-
he's exhilarated, yeah.
He thinks he's pulled it off.
Mm-hmm.
But see, by doing the murder at the beginning, the tension rises.
For a lovely
Yeah.
evening.
You know,
Good night. Good night.
Yeah.
It's been
If we didn't know,
you would think the murder would be the,
Oh,
you know,
Yeah.
part of the climax.
deserves to go
It's
down
not.
in history.
this is incredible.
The character, the evolution, the spiraling is what's.
Yeah,
Without Rupert.
this is so cool.
He helped me say all the things I've wanted to say to those idiots. He gave the party the very touch I predicted.
The touch of what? Prying? Snooping? Or just plain pumping?
Determined to get drunk, aren't you?
I am drunk.
And just as childish as you were before when you called me a liar.
You had no business telling that story.
Why did you lie anyway?
I had to. Have you ever bothered for just 1 minute to understand how someone else might feel?
I'm not sentimental, if that's what you
No, that's not what I mean, but it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Except that Mr. Brandon liked the party. Mr. Brandon gave the party. Mr. Brandon had a delightful evening.
Yeah, standing up to him now.
Is that you, Mrs.
And the way they speak to each other, really, the queerness is all over it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they obviously live together, they're planning a vacation together.
Well, that's good. You don't look too well, either one.
And the fact that
Thanks. Of course, I could do with the rest myself.
Mrs. Wilson
but I went both
told
ways
him
come back in.
to go to the first bedroom on the right,
Well, I'm off.
whereas
Enjoy
Brandon
yourself.
always calls it the bedroom.
Don't forget to write.
You know,
Right.
And mind your P's and Q's.
Who are you calling?
Only the garage. Hello, this is Mr. Brandon Shaw. Would you send my car around, please? Yes, right away. Thank you. We'd better draw the curtains.
Who's that? Brandon, who's
I'll be
that?
the garage man with my car keys.
Oh, Philip.
It hasn't been time for him to get here.
And maybe Mrs. Wilson forgot something. Answer it.
Brandon, couldn't we pretend we're not home?
With all these lights on, answer it, Philip.
Oh, Philip, come on, stand up for yourself or something. Oh, God.
well, he's the only one who knows that their goose is cooked.
Who is it? Brandon, it's Rupert.
What?
He wants to come up. He says he left a cigarette case here. He wants to come up.
Well, let him come.
But you know he's lying.
What?
Hold on, he'll leave
Shut
any...
up and get back to that phone.
I won't.
Get back to that phone.
Brandon, I can't.
You've got to.
No, he knows. Shut up.
Whoa. I mean, he must have heard. Like, he didn't hang up properly.
Rupert, come on up.
This is very odd of Rupert. I thought he would just go call the police. Why go back in alone when there's nobody else
Well,
there?
think about it. He's the one who put all these ideas into these boys' heads. So in
Well, yeah.
many respects, he feels
Did you hear me?
like he's the cause for this.
Come
He
Huh.
bears some responsibility.
Okay.
It's one thing to theorize and to talk about.
Yeah.
But-
Oh, my God.
I don't know how much, if anything, Rupert knows, but I promise you, he'll be out of here in 5 minutes, one way or the other. Philip, for those 5 minutes, you've got to pull yourself together. Do you?
Brandon,
No,
Brandon.
look. I'm not going to get caught because of you or anyone else.
Well, there it is.
I'm going to get in my way now.
That's all about him. Philip's just like an accessory or something.
Mhm.
That's awful. I think that's the thing I like the least about this. It's just the abusive relationship and the way Philip just... Oh,
Any idea where you left the case?
No, not at all. Completely unlike me to forget it, isn't it? I suppose a psychoanalyst would say that I didn't really forget it at all. I unconsciously left it because I wanted to come back. Why should I want to come back?
Yes. Why?
For the pleasure of our company. Or another drink.
Well, that's a very good idea. May I have one for the road?
Of course. A short one?
No, I'd prefer a long one, if you don't mind. The last I remember having the case was when I was there.
Oh boy. Oh yeah. Philip's not going to manage.
Brandon. Oh, well, here it is, right where I left it. Gentlemen, I beg your pardon. I'm very sorry. You're sure it's all right?
Mm-hmm.
You said you could have it.
Thank you.
Don't mind, Philip.
Oh, Philip.
He's had a few too much.
Why not?
Oh no.
Well, it was a party.
Yeah, weird party.
Well, I'll be off. As soon as I finish my drink.
Oh my God, wow.
Thank you. I would like to stay a bit.
The differences between the looks of Philip and Brandon.
Yeah.
Look.
What was...
Whoa. Oh my God, and he's looking over there.
Not
Jesus.
showing up. You don't think anything really did happen to him, do you?
What could have?
Well, he could have been run over or held up.
In broad daylight.
That's right, I'd forgotten. Yes, it must have been broad daylight when it happened.
When it happened.
What happened?
Exactly.
When whatever did happen to David. Still, where is he?
What's your theory?
Mine? I was considering Janet's for the moment.
Oh, I didn't know she had one.
Yes, you do. I couldn't help overhearing Janet. I gather she thinks you kidnapped David or did something to prevent him from coming.
I'm not interested
Oh.
in Janet's prattle, but you always interest me, Rupert. Do you think I kidnapped David? It would be slightly more difficult to pull off now, though, don't you think?
Oh my God, is he really going to show off?
How? I mean, suppose you were...
There you go. Oh, really?
Did you get David out of the way?
Now, you're much better at this sort of thing than I am.
No, but what would you do if you were I?
Well, if I wanted to get rid of David,
Oh my God, is he really going to say it?
drink at the club or some quiet bar. Or better still, I'd invite him here, and no one would see us
Mhm.
together.
Oh, that's good. And no witnesses.
Yes, that's right.
Then what?
Well, let me see.
This is really tense.
At the appointed time, David would arrive. I'd walk slowly out of the room into the hall and greet him. Tell him how fine
Right.
he's looking and so forth. And take his hat. And I'd bring him in here. I'd try to make it all very pleasant, you understand. Philip would probably play the piano. Now, as I recall, David was quite strong. He'd have to be knocked out. So I'd move quietly around behind the chair and hit him on the head with something. His body would fall forward on the floor.
Then where would you put him?
Really?
Well, let me see. Well, I think I'd get Philip to help me carry him out of the room, down the back stairs, and the two of us would put him into the car.
Right.
Be seen.
What?
Well, you said yourself that if anything did happen, it must have happened in broad daylight.
Oh, that's right. I'd forgotten. Now, that means I'd have to...
Uh-huh, except he didn't.
Yes, you would, but where, Rupert?
Philip.
Yes. Yes, where?
Cat and mouse.
There you go.
Mouse. Which is the cat and which is the mouse?
That's enough of that.
Mind your own business.
That's enough, Philip.
I told you before, mind your own business.
It really isn't any of my business. I'm not his keeper. With him in this condition, though, there doesn't seem to be much point in your staying, Rupert. That is, unless you came back to find something besides your cigarette case.
You mean, for example, to find if you really got rid of David?
Yes.
Oh, so it's happening now. Wow.
Oh, you're as romantic as Janet. I don't think for a moment that you kidnapped David. Oh, I will admit that Janet put the notion in my head, but I never would have mentioned it.
Right.
If it weren't that you seem to be carrying fear of discovery in your pocket.
What?
He has been rather obvious.
That tease my suspicions more than anything else. And to tell you the truth, it really scares me a little.
I'm terribly sorry, Rupert. I don't blame you, but, well, here, you can relax. I have to take it up to the country. There have been several burglaries, and Mother's a bit on edge.
Why would he do that? Wow, this is so weird, their relationship.
Did you hear what
He's really going to leave the gun there.
he thought? Particularly after a few drinks. How is yours, Rupert?
I think I'll be running along.
Philip, you
Wait,
feel much better
does
when
he have another one? Oh my God.
There'll be much traffic, and we ought to make good time.
What the hell?
Lovely night. You'll be driving up in good weather. I almost wish I were going with you. It might be rather exciting.
Whoa, so he knows even how they did it.
But driving with you and Philip now might have an additional element of...
Wait, so he wants in?
Philip. Those books were tied clumsily.
He's got it. He's got it. He knows. He knows.
All right,
He knows.
easy.
No, don't kill him.
I'd just as soon kill you as kill him. Sooner. This is what you wanted, isn't it? Somebody else to know. Somebody else to see how brilliant you are, just like at school.
That is true.
Find out. But oh no, you have to have him here. And now we're done for. Now I don't know. You made me do it, and I hate you. I hate both of us. No.
Whoa. Oh my God, no. Whoa.
Stupid, babbling drunk. I'm sorry, Rupert. It's all right.
But now they will have heard the gunshot.
You really want to kill, you don't miss, not at that range.
Of course he didn't want to kill you. He didn't know what he was doing any more than he knew what he was saying. I didn't want anyone to know this, but he's been becoming an alcoholic, Rupert.
Brandon, will you step over there, please?
Philip's drunk, Rupert. Surely you don't take those nightmare ideas of his seriously.
Brandon, I'm tired. And in a way, I'm frightened, too.
Because his ideas have come to fruition.
What are you going to do?
I don't want to, but I'm going to look inside that chest.
Are you crazy?
I hope so. With all my heart, I hope I'm crazy.
Rupert, this has nothing to do with you.
It got to.
Don't.
Got
Rupert.
to look inside that chest.
All right. Go ahead and look. I hope you like what you see.
Oh boy.
Oh, no. No. Rupert, I couldn't believe it was true. Rupert,
But he kept talking about it.
what? Listen to me. Just listen. Let me explain. Explain? Do you think you can explain that? Yes, to you I can. Because you'll understand.
Understand?
Rupert, remember the discussion we had before with Mr. Ketley? Yes. Remember we said the lives of inferior beings are unimportant? Remember we said, we've always said, you and I, that moral concepts of good and evil and right and wrong don't hold for the intellectually superior. Remember, Rupert?
Yes, I remember.
Well, that's all we've done.
And this
They
is
were
what has
prep-
happened.
they were prep school, which is an impressionable
Lived what
age.
you and I have
Yes.
talked. I knew you'd understand because you have to, don't you see? You have to.
He's still a little schoolboy in a way.
Mhm.
Like, look what I did. Aren't you proud of me?
Brandon, until this very moment, this world and the people in it have always been dark and incomprehensible to me. And I've tried to clear my way with logic and superior intellect. And you've thrown my own words right back in my face, Brandon.
Wow, so he is seeing.
Nothing else a man should stand by his words. But you've given my words a meaning that I never dreamed of. And you've tried to twist them into a cold, logical excuse for your ugly murder. Oh, they never were that, Brandon.
What do you mean?
Make them that. There must have been something deep inside you from the very start that let you do this thing.
Yeah, and you lit the fire.
Yes, exactly. He's trying to
Inside
say,
me
oh no, this wasn't me.
and would never let me be a party to it now.
What do you mean?
I mean that tonight you've made me ashamed of every concept I ever had of superior or inferior beings. And I thank you for that shame. Because now I know that we are each of us a separate human being, Brandon, with the right to live and work and think as individuals, but with an obligation to the society we live in. By what right do you dare say that there's a superior few to which you belong?
That's a good question,
By
but
what right did you dare decide that that boy in there was inferior and therefore could be killed? Did you think you were God, Brandon? Is that what you thought when you choked the life out of him? Is that what you thought when you served food from his grave? Well, I don't know what you thought or what you are, but I know what you've done. You've murdered. You've strangled the life out of a fellow human being who could live and love as you never could. And never will again.
What are you doing?
It's not what I'm going to do, Brandon. It's what society's going to do. I don't know what that'll be, but I can guess. And I can help. You're going to die, Brandon, both of you. You're going to die.
that's 5 shots, I think. There's still one left, if I'm counting right. What's Brandon going to do when his mentor turns his back on him? So Brandon's just going to have a drink. Okay.
They're coming.
Philip starts playing right now. It would be perfect. Oh my God, yes. Wow. Oh my God, what a thrill. Oh my God. Like when they say something is thrilling, I like this is the first time I'm really like it was so much tension the entire time. And it's because you know that the dead guy is in there. Whoa. Oh my God. Wow. I don't think I'd ever, like I said, I think I watched one Hitchcock movie when I was younger, but I hadn't watched any of his movies until now. The depth of the characters, the way the scenes are set up, and the tension never lets up. The entire hour and a half or however long it was, you're always like, oh my God, something's going to happen. They're going to notice something is going to go wrong. And
and it's the camera that tells you that.
Yeah. Oh my God. I loved it. I think it's, I don't know, the way the queer elements are threaded into the story, kind of just a tiny bit, it adds to the thing quite a lot. It's like that relationship that they have where Brandon is so domineering and he's saying like it was probably his idea. It must have been his idea. And then Philip just went along with it and then starts to feel bad. I mean, imagine what Philip must have been going through the entire evening and you see his mind unraveling.
Right.
Oh my God.
And the fact that they wore it so plainly on their faces.
Yeah.
You know, Brandon with the air of sophistication and detachment, and the sociopath that literally is present in his expression. And then you see Philip, who is literally crumbling as the night goes on. You know, it's by far and away one of my favorite queer films of all time, because even though the queer couple are not a good couple as far as, you know, but I think it's proper good representation. I'm never of the camp that all gays must be good. You know, I think we're people like everybody else. We're just as flawed as anybody else. And I understand that people want good representation because you had the barrier gays and all the other stuff that have gone on, the tropes that have really denigrated us over time. And I get that. But this to have this film out just shortly after World War II,
Yeah,
you know,
it's incredible.
and the fact that queer people who couldn't be out see something that really they could see in themselves at
Yeah,
that time,
yeah.
even if, as we saw with Fellow Travelers, even though you couldn't be out about it,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know. I mean, what were your thoughts about the supporting cast and how everything flowed, and the whole process of the rolling in and rolling out, and the shots that lingered and you got more information?
It was really smooth. I think the thing I liked the most was that I felt as if though I were really eavesdropping on a real party with people coming and going about and talking about this and that. And not everything was relevant to the story because in the back of my mind, I was like, there's been a murder, there's been a murder. And here they're talking about something or other, horoscopes or what have you.
Yeah.
And it just adds to the experience because you're like, okay, yeah, here we have a party and we have some, like, I love Mrs. Wilson, for example, very, that was her name, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So friendly. And the way she interacted with Brandon as well, it was really cool. The way that all of the characters were mixed in, nobody was particularly perhaps out, I don't know, like unnecessary. Because at first I was like, why are they inviting like David's dad? And then like David's dad's
It's the twisted
sister-in-law.
element.
It's like,
Yeah,
what?
it's
Yeah,
the sociopath in
yeah,
Brandon that drives all of this. And he just
yeah,
keeps pushing that envelope and pushing
yeah.
it and pushing it. Well, at some point, it's going to break. You know, we all know
Yep.
that, you know. And I don't think he really took into the equation, because I think he always thought, I can keep Philip under wraps, I can control
Mhm.
him. But he wasn't counting on Philip getting drunk to the point where he would become
Yep.
belligerent, which is something he should have thought of, you know, and probably
Yep.
did not serve alcohol at that party. You know what I mean? Or, you know, and
Yeah.
just the fact that he invited Rupert Cadell, their old schoolmaster, to the party, you know, all of this just, there's one level upon another that
Yes.
Brandon, you just go, fuck, dude, what the hell are
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
thinking?
Yeah.
You know,
It's
you're so
fascinating.
superior, and yet it's the dumbest crime of all time. You know?
Right. Yeah. 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 It's this arrogance that he has, but at the same time, he has this inferiority complex where he's like, please, someone recognize me, see me for the genius I think I am. And that has to be my old school master. And you saw him crumbling at the beginning. When Rupert first came in, he was so nervous and he was
Mm-hmm.
stuttering again. And it was like he was regressing
Yeah.
to what he must have been like as a child or as a kid. I don't know. And and then he kind of just fights against it and says, no, I'm the superior being. I am the one who can decide who lives or dies, and so on. It's so complex. All of the characters interact with one another very in interesting ways. And the way, yeah, I mean, Brandon just keeps trying to be the architect of everyone's lives. Like, what does he care? Whether, I don't know, it's David or the other guy. It's, I don't know, it's really, really cool. And it did feel like a play.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
like,
Even
it's
with the
one
tableau at the end
set.
where they're all in position, you know, and even
Mhm.
when you said, if Philip starts playing, this is going to be perfect. And that's exactly what he does, you know.
That was amazing.
And you know, and for me, when I first saw this, I was in probably the mid 80s, because it had been released on videotape. So it was around the time when videotapes were becoming a real thing.
Mhm.
And I watched it not knowing anything about it.
Yeah.
And the moment I saw those two on screen, I'm like, oh my God, it's gay people. I knew
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
from the opening sequence,
Yeah.
I knew that it was us, you know.
Yep.
And I was riveted from that moment on. And I didn't really care if they were good or bad. It was just, we're there at
Yeah.
that time in history,
Mhm.
you know.
Mhm.
And Hitchcock was a genius for playing that angle. It wouldn't
Yeah.
have played the same if it were a straight couple, you know, because these men
Mhm.
are used to hiding.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It
Yeah. Yeah.
adds
Yeah.
another layer that straight people don't ever have to consider in life. We do, you know,
Right.
because of who we are.
Wow.
And I just, plus I love how, and Hitchcock, what happened is, just before this, actually it was about 10 years before he made this movie, he made a
Mhm.
movie where he started to hone the formula. And what he realized, what created tension in audience, was give them more than what the characters have. because then it puts the
Right,
audience
right.
ahead of the characters,
Yeah.
and that builds the tension. And he
Mhm.
really is the mastermind who figured that out and started doing it in his film. So all the films we have with that premise going forward is built on what Hitchcock created from the
Right.
early days of cinema. I mean, he started in the silent era, so he really knew to build tension by giving
Mhm,
audience
mhm.
more. And he did a movie where there was a young boy who was carrying a package on a bus.
Mhm.
And the only life lesson he got out of doing that film was the boy is carrying a package that he thinks are a bunch of books wrapped in brown wrapping paper,
Mhm.
not knowing that it's a bomb.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my
And the
God.
kid gets on the bus, supposedly going to deliver this package to somebody that it was heading to. Really, what it is he's an innocent dupe in a sabotage or a terrorist act. And the kid ends up dying because the bomb goes off and everything. And that was the only time where Hitch said, okay, I made a mistake. I can never kill a child like that, or, you know, in any way that like that.
Mhm.
And so he learned where the boundary was,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he always knew how to, from that point on, how to play the tension. And that's why he's considered to be the mastermind of the thriller movie, because
Yeah.
it was his formula that he created and embellished upon over the years. But
It's
you know,
amazing.
he has other films that we need to explore that have queer characters in it and queer representation, and it's just threaded so beautifully that the character, in the moment you see him, you go, "That's one of us."
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just know it. Just he's so clever with how he just drops them in the story, and you know what it is. And straight people back in the day had no clue. They
Wow.
These were just two college chums who shared an apartment. You know,
Right,
nobody
right.
saw that kind of thing. And in fact, when some critics did comment upon their interesting relationship, you know, it was considered very, very risque. You know, oh, we don't talk about that kind of thing. But, you know, here we are,
God.
you know, back in the day, and we were front and center. There is no denying, even, you know, you show this to any of the children nowadays, the moment they see Brandon and Philip, they know they're together.
Right. It's there from the very first scene, that the symbolism of the murder as
sex.
It's incredible. Yes, as having had sex together, and then just like you said, with the cigarette and everything, the way they stand together, like very close, and the
heavy
to one
breathing
another.
And
exactly, all of the exertion,
going
everything
limp,
is there.
you know, all the even the word choices, you know, it's just really incredible.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's I'm glad you really liked it, because this is definitely one of my all-time favorites. I love the aesthetic. I love Mrs. Atwater, who babbles on about the something, you know, she's just a silly character, but it works because it lets you see Rupert being superior in being able to play with people, and you see exactly where Brandon got it. You know, so in the end, I think Rupert feels just as guilty. You know, yes,
of course,
he's trying to push it away and say, "You've given my words a meaning I never dreamt of." Well, but you're the one who put them in there. You're just never thought somebody would act on them. How sad for you that theory became reality, but you're the one who put that theory in his head, in a young, teenage, impressionable head. You know?
That's right. I love that. The monologue where Rupert finally accepts that, like, he feels shame and all of these things. You can see his entire philosophy, which he was so proud of, just crumble when he sees the reality of what he was saying. And it was so easy to say there are superior people and inferior people. Well, no, actually, no. And then he just goes 180 on that. It's very, very cool. And I kept thinking, what's going to happen? Is there going to be more violence? Are they going to kill one another? And the way it just ends, it's like, oh my God.
It's all character. It's all character. You know, and that's the thing I love about Hitchcock's movies. You know, like I said before, he was never known as an actor's director, but the thing is, he cast his movies so perfectly. The actors knew exactly what to do. He never had to tell them what to do. They just fall into place, and it just works, you know. And that's the amazing thing about it. Yeah. So
oh my God, wow.
I'm glad you really liked it.
Yep.
I was thrilled that I could finally show you this movie.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of my all-time favorites. And I'm telling you, you rewatch it again, you'll find new nuances every time you
Whoa.
see it, just because there's so much for a character. And I think as writers ourselves, it's a great way to see how to bring out character through dialogue.
Yeah.
And the glances, the furtive glances, and the different facial expressions in a moment. How you can have 3 different expressions going on that all contribute to the same tension moment, So yeah. Anyways, all right, everybody, that's it for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Definitely check out Hitchcock's films, because I'm telling you, there are other queer characters throughout some of his other movies. We will be taking a look at another one shortly called Strangers on a Train, which also stars Farley Granger. So another reason why I love that movie. I just love that man. So we will definitely look at some of the other Hitchcock films that have queer characters. There's also North by Northwest, which is probably his most famous film, that has a queer character arrangement that is really suspect. So we'll
I'm
definitely
intrigued.
check that one out. Yeah, I know. So that's it for this week. Like, subscribe, tell your friends what we're doing here. Join our Patreon. You get full unedited reactions. We have the $3 to just help us keep the lights on. The $5 you get full movie reactions, and at the $8 level you get movie and TV show reactions. So just something to think about. And after a certain amount of months, we send you a free gift for being a patron. So it's definitely a good thing. We also now have memberships enabled on our channel, because now we are monetized. So thank you for all of our subscribers that have joined. We really appreciate every single one of you. So you can join the membership levels down below. Definitely check those out. It's pretty much the same levels as Patreon. Just the YouTubes are watch along versions because of the way that YouTube analytics work. So that's the only difference between the two. So anyways, that's it for this week. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, join our Patreon, and we will see you all again very soon. Cue Charlie wave.
Bye. Oh.
Oh, what's that?
Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.